Excited to share with you all today how to open a Washington Able account. And before we begin, I should say, uh, on a normal basis, if you're doing this outside of this presentation setting, it's a process that should take you just under 6 minutes. About a year ago, this process probably would have taken you 7 to 10 minutes. But with feedback and constant improvements to the overall flow, making it user friendly, we've been able to cut down that enrollment time to just about 6 minutes. So to begin this process, and I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And just want to confirm, Katie, you can all see my screen?
I can see your screen. Thanks, Daniel.
Perfect. So to begin the Washington State Able Savings Plan account enrollment process, first you have to make your way to washingtonstateable.com. Again, that's www.washingtonstateable.com. As in here, if you don't have this, you can always just Google Washington State Able and make sure the link you're clicking on says Washington State Able, because there are other states that have other plans that could pop up. And the colors you should see is the dark blue with the young man in his wheelchair, and it should say Washington State Savings Able Plan. And at the top right corner, we have the menu option. Under menu, you have open an account and log in. For those who have existing accounts, this is also where you can come to log into your account. But this is where you start with opening the account. The website itself is a great resource on general information about the program. We maintain the site and keep it updated as often as needed. Updated plan disclosure booklet, as you can see, updated FAQs, which you can also find at the bottom of the website. Right here, contact us information, just in case you needed to speak with someone if you had questions, our mailing addresses, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Open account to begin that process. And once you click on open account, it should bring you to this screen. And just another quick disclosure as I begin this step. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm using a Vestwell test account. So you may see things that are not visible on your end when you open a Washington State Able account, just because what I'm showing you today is a test account. So you should see the young man on the left side planting on a farm. And first thing you want to do is enter your email because we're doing a test account here. I have to use my Vestwell test email. And you want to check all the boxes, 3 boxes right below your email. The person I'm creating this account for lives in the state of Washington. And secondly, I have reviewed, understand, and accept the terms of the plan disclosure booklet. I always recommend clicking on these and just keeping them. If you can read them before you begin the process, that's great. If you want to get your account going and read them later, you can always click on the links as well as the participation agreement, save them to your computer, or just keep them open to read later. And lastly, you want to check the box stating I have reviewed, understand, and accepted Vestwell platform terms of use and Vestwell online privacy policy. And once you've checked all 3 boxes, then you should see the Get Started button. Now, this blue box, which allows you to proceed, is very consistent across the enrollment flow, as you're going to see. If something is ever missing in any process, the box remains gray. And another thing I should mention, the site is designed to, meet the needs of people who speak various languages, as well as being as accessible as needed for people who may be using screen readers like JAWS. So if you speak other languages like I do, I speak French and prefer maybe to proceed with this enrollment flow in French, our platform does allow you to select from 8 languages. So I would click French, you hit update, and the whole process going here forward would be in French or Spanish or any of the other languages listed. But for the purpose of this test today, I'll go ahead with English. Click Get Started. So on this screen, and whenever you're opening a Washington State Able account and you get to this screen, there's one question. Are you the beneficiary? Now, the beneficiary is the individual with the disability who owns and benefits from the funds in the account. So the information that would be entered here would be that of the beneficiary. And for anyone who's wondering how you qualify, if you qualify, I recommend watching the presentation Katie did last week, which should be posted on the website. If not, will be posted soon, just to get a better understanding of what is needed to qualify before you can open an account. So for the purposes of this test, I'm going to select no. So I am not the beneficiary, which means I am maybe a parent, a legal guardian, a rep payee, opening an account for someone else. So it's going to ask me to provide the beneficiary's information. I'm going to go with Leslie. Social security number. Date of birth. Identifies as. You have 3 options. You can choose not to identify. He or she. In this case, I'll go with she. Your mailing address. And as you can see, no PO box or military address is accepted on this screen, because this is where we collect the information for the beneficiary in order to verify and confirm that they're who they say they are. There is another section in this process which would allow you to enter a mailing address if the residential address is different from the mailing address. State, Washington. And if you are a veteran or served in the military, you can select this box. In this case, Leslie did not. So I'm going to hit next and proceed. Oh, it looks like I selected Virginia. There we go. Now, this is the identity verification screen. One thing to note, if you are the person whom the account is going to benefit, so if I were opening this account for myself and not a parent opening for a child or a guardian opening for whoever they're responsible for, I would be the one going through the verification process. So every information that would be provided in this verification screen would be my information. That's what's considered the customer. So in this case, I, as Leslie's father, for example, I'm considered the customer, and therefore my identity also has to be verified as I go through this process. So it's an automated process through a third-party company we use called Plaid. If you've ever done any kind of online banking transaction, you've most likely used Plaid. They're very popular. And if for whatever reason you can't go through this option, or don't have a mobile phone, you can proceed with the click here to receive a call instead to proceed with this process. But we're going to go through electronically. Yes, Katie.
I apologize for interrupting. We had a question come in on the previous screen and may be relevant to other folks as well.
Yes.
The question is, if you're a member of Washington State's Address Confidentiality Program, otherwise known as ACP, for domestic violence, can you use your substitute address, which is a PO box, for the residential address?
Unfortunately not on this screen because it requires whatever is listed on your ID. And based on the question, I'm assuming whatever is listed on the ID cannot be disclosed publicly. And in that case, we would recommend going the paper application route, which is something I can dive into a little bit further at the end of this presentation. Well, looks like I see another comment in the chat, Katie. For ACP, you actually can put in on your license. If that's the case, then perfect. Whatever matches your ID is what you want to put on this screen because that's what we'd be going based off. And if there are any restrictions, there is an ulterior way to open an account, which would be the paper form.
Okay, so to confirm, what I'm hearing is that if you are part of a member of the ACP, you can put your PO box on your driver's license, which means you can also put that on the form here when you complete it, as long as that matches your license.
Correct. If you have a PO box on your ID as a result of ACP, then yes, because that PO box through our database would be directly tied to your identification as an individual. So we'd be able to use that to verify you. It's a very unique case, which wouldn't apply to quite a number of people. I hope that answers the question.
I think that was it. Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Looks like I waited too long, so we'll go ahead and get started here again quickly. Check all those boxes, get started. No. Leslie. All right, verify me. Identify as he. All right, so it's taking me through the verification process as I had described through our third party, Plaid. One thing to note, when you're going through this process as an individual, you will not see Sandbox. Again, as a disclosure, the only reason this is up here and this is down here is because we're in a test region to show you what this process looks like. Date of birth. Get my verification code and enter. My first and last name as the authorized legal representative going through this process. My address. And social security number. Oh, looks like I may have entered the wrong social security number for myself. So I'll go ahead and get started back. No, that this is not my real social security number. Again, just as a disclosure, all what you're seeing is information being entered for the purposes of this test. I'll go ahead and just stop sharing just for a moment. So if you are going through this process, it's actually good you're seeing this, and you entered the information. There are instances where you'd be prompted to scan and verify your identity, either by taking a picture of your ID or driver's license to validate the verification process. The reason this is popping up on this step as I go through the enrollment flow, again, because we're in a test setting, and I just did not enter the information that I need to take me to the next step. So bear with me. I'll stop sharing my screen just for a moment and resume in a second. And while waiting, Katie, if there are any questions that have come through, feel free to ask.
I think we're good right now. You've answered everything so far.
All right, sounds good.
So Daniel, to reiterate, what we're not seeing that you're doing right now is kind of a verification process where you're maybe uploading your ID and some other documents that to verify yourself. Is that right?
Theoretically, yes. That's kind of what would be happening, going through the taking a picture, and it's a very quick process. Once the information is uploaded, it takes a few minutes and you get a pop-up verifying, letting you know the information you entered has been verified through our system, and letting you go through to complete the enrollment flow. Registration.
Daniel, when you're done with that part, would you mind coming back on and kind of just narrating what it was you did? Kind of the steps that you went through. I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but if you can tell us what you did.
Yes, in just a second.
Yeah.
All right, almost done here.
Daniel, while you're finishing up there, I noticed a question in the Q&A,
Okay.
or a comment, I should say, that says a benefit of signing up and enrolling that I found as a social worker is that I can use my one email to set up accounts for different people. How many times have I had websites that only allow one email per account? Washington Able took that into consideration. Thank you. And I just wanted to take this time to kind of share while you're wrapping up there, a link to our kind of a new page on our website for organizational ALRs, which allows folks to do just that. If you work for an organization or you work for a state agency where you're supporting multiple people, you can open one account and open multiple individual accounts under that one account. So I put a link in the chat with more information about that. And if
Thank
you're
you.
interested in setting up an organizational ALR, Daniel is also the expert on that. And, you know, just send an email to me, and I'll put that email in the chat, and I'll get you connected directly with Daniel, and we can support you through that process.
Thank you, Katie. And I'm very glad to hear that someone went through that process and really benefited from it. Sounds like you are not an organizational ALR yet, and just a social worker who's opened multiple accounts. So we'll be happy to work with you and your organization to actually put you through the system with that. But back to the individual enrollment flow, and just as a quick recap on what I did on my end, with the QR code that popped up on my screen, I scanned the code, and it took me through the process of taking a picture, uploading, and as you could see, letting me know I was all set to go. Now, not everyone is going to be prompted to scan their ID. If the information you put, and in most cases, if your information has already been used through Plaid, there's no additional step you would need to take because it recognizes your information since it's the same system we use, but it should put you through. And as you can see on my screen, it's showing my information, just allowing me to confirm before I click next. And just to provide a quick summary on who an authorized legal representative is, this is provided in the flow as well. As you can see here, you are the authorized legal representative for a beneficiary and would serve as the authorized signatory on their ABLE account. To become an ALR, which is the acronym we've come up for this a person, you can either be selected by the beneficiary, and this was an IRS regulation that was updated about two years ago now, where any beneficiary who's able and capable can designate whoever they want to manage their account. There is a hierarchy to that order. So you've either been selected by the beneficiary, or you have power of attorney, conservator, or legal guardianship, or your spouse, your parent, your sibling, grandparent for the eligible individual, or, and this is the last, a rep payee, which we see very often in cases where an organization or a social worker is supporting someone in that capacity. Now, onto the next screen, eligibility information. Again, there are specific questions in regards to eligibility. You can refer to the webinar from last week that Katie did. You would be eligible if the onset of the disability was by or before the age of 26, or you're on SSI or SSDI. In the event SSI or SSDI don't apply to your case, but the onset was before or by age 26, you can request or obtain a diagnosis form or diagnosis confirmation from your physician as proof. We don't ask for any of that documentation as you go through this process. It's something you keep for your records in case your eligibility was ever questioned. As you go through this process, opening this account, you're self-certifying if you're opening directly for yourself, or for Guardian or an ALR is opening for you, they're self-certifying that you qualify for this account. So in the case of Leslie, I'm going to select the first option here, which is entitled to SSI. And what is the diagnosis code? Now, diagnosis code doesn't have to be exactly what we have here. Whatever is closest to what's described as your disability. As you can see, we have codes 1 through to 7, developmental disorder, intellectual disability, and so on and so forth, and to end the list, other. If you don't see your diagnosis here, you can simply select other. I'll go with that option as we proceed. is the disability permanent? I'm going to select yes. And this is where we determine if, in this case, I've been selected by Leslie to be on this account, or I have power of attorney or guardianship. I'm going to select, I have been selected by the beneficiary in this case, but I also have conservatorship to open this account for Leslie. What if your client has both SSI and SSDI? See, this is a question in the chat. If your client has SSI and SSDI, you want to select the first one, which would be totally fine. And finally, you have to certify that all of these apply to the beneficiary. The disability occurred before the age of 26. The beneficiary has no other ABLE account. You can only have one ABLE account. And I expect the beneficiary's disability or blindness to last for the rest of their life, and you'll inform us and the program if anything were to change. On to the next step, communication preferences, which is step 4. So this is where you get to decide how you would like to receive information from the program, like about webinars like this, how you would like to receive your quarterly statements. So quarterly statements are issued on the 10th to the 15th day after the end of a quarter, so 4 times a year, as well as your tax form. You can either have them emailed to you. You can have the quarterly statements and disclosure booklets emailed, but have your tax forms mailed to you at no cost. The only instance where a cost is incurred is if you're having all of this mailed to you, which would be $20, but billed to your account on a quarterly basis. I'm going to go with the email option because that still allows me to download it once I get the notification that it's available, and print it and save it for my records just in case I ever need them. And staying up to date, I'm going to select yes, send me email updates and new plan site features, as well as yes to SMS notifications. I'm going to select, and this is where I was talking about the mailing address. So if you have a PO box, you can just enter on their new address, but I'll go with what we've already entered to begin this process. Where does the ABLE account go on the IRS Form 1040? I don't believe there's a 1040 issued for ABLE accounts, and we can get into tax forms a little bit later, but there are only 2 forms issued for ABLE accounts. I'll go ahead and create my password. This is a test account, so I don't mind sharing it. However, if you're doing this in an open space, you want to make sure you keep your password information secured. And once your profile has been created, you've entered your information. If you're using a Google browser, it's always going to give you this prompt at the top. I recommend, if this is a device you use very often, just saving the information, like in my case, that way you can remember what you entered if you didn't get a chance to actually write that down. So this step allows you to review all the information you've entered, the beneficiary's name, about myself, my eligibility, and my confirmation, communication preferences, and my email and password, and create account. Now, once you hit create account, close this out. Have to take you to another screen. Bear with me here.
Daniel, while you're kind of navigating through that, we got another question in the chat, which is, which option do we choose if the beneficiary is receiving Social Security as a disabled adult child? Would that be the SSI or the SSDI?
It would be the first option, so SSI.
SSI, okay, that's what I was thinking. Thank you.
Yep. So once you hit create your account or create my account, it brings you to this screen. So at this point in the enrollment process, there is an account that's existing. There's an account number existing in the system for you. And the reason I'm pausing here is because I've been through this a number of times where people get to this point and maybe something comes up, they're distracted for whatever reason, they have to step away for a moment. If you get to this point where you can see dashboard and you can see the name of the beneficiary and you can see let's finish your account, just know you have an account number and you can see the last four. And with that, if for whatever reason you maybe didn't take note of that information and you needed assistance to complete the step, you can always give us a call and just say, I was able to get through this step. I don't remember what my account number is, but here's my social security number. Can you confirm what the account number is? And we can provide that information for you. So again,
Daniel,
yes.
let's say if that's the situation and they're on the screen where, yeah, I was just going to say, if you scroll down a little bit, wanted to point out where folks can find our customer service number to reach out so they don't have to get out of this screen.
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks.
You can call us at this number, and there is also a chat functionality, which you can use to chat. The individual you'll be chatting with won't be able to see details on your account, but they can provide general guidance. All right, so the last three steps for this, choose a funding method. That's where the money is going to be coming from. Select an investment option. That's how I want to either invest or save, and then make that investment option. First, you have to connect your bank account. This process allows you to connect your bank account, again, through Plaid, which is the third-party organization we use in the verification step. So if you hit connect bank account, it takes you through the Plaid flow. And I'll do that briefly, but I will proceed with the manual option. And this is what it's going to ask from you: phone number. And with your phone number, it could determine if you've already used Plaid before. And if you have, then there's most likely one or however many bank accounts you have that are associated with that phone number, allowing you to complete the process.
Hey, Daniel.
Yes.
While you're walking through this part, can you talk a little bit about the security of this particular process of like connecting a bank account? I know we got a comment in the chat or in the Q&A about, people have to input their personal login information for their personal bank account.
Yeah.
So can you talk to how safe the process is? Thanks.
Yeah. So it's a very secure process. That's what Plaid is known for. That's why majority, if not every single bank in the United States uses Plaid. It allows you to electronically, securely connect your bank account information to any other third-party platform, in this case, like the Washington State Able account through Vestwell. So the reason the email address and the password is required is to link both platforms and share your bank account number, routing number from your bank to us. That way we can save it on the platform for you to use. Electronic, encrypted, and secured. And not to go into the details, but there are a number of banks that actually have an additional encryption layer through which the information that's being transferred from them to us secures the information to ensure it gets to us safely and is established in the platform for you to use. All that to say, it's a very secure process. All right. I'm going to proceed with the manual option. And for that, I need to just quickly Google a Chase routing number, just because this is a test region. And if for whatever reason you don't have a bank account or can't add a bank account at this time and only have a check to complete this process, you can select mail a check, and it's going to take you through the same flows you will see after I enter my bank account information. allowing you to select your investment option, determine if you want to make free recurring contributions down the line, but also generate a form that you can send to us with the check that you have to deposit into your account.
Hey, Daniel,
Yes.
if you select mail a check when you're at this part of the enrollment process, and then you decide down the road that you want to connect a bank account and fund your account electronically, can you change that option?
Yes, you absolutely can. And the beauty of this is once you select check, you're going to get a constant reminder to add a bank account, which you can ignore. But there's always going to be a pop-up at the top of the account letting you know, hey, add a bank account, because that's the most efficient way to transfer money into your Washington State Able account. I'm going to enter a checking account information. So my name, which has to match what is registered on my bank's end, the checking account number, my routing number, and nickname. So I'm going to go with Leslie's Rep Katie Bank, for example. And because I'm entering this information manually, I'm also required to provide or include a copy of my bank statement or a voided check. This is a way for our automated system to confirm that you haven't fat fingered anything into the system as far as the routing number or the account number. So it's validated on the back end. And if there are any issues, we will follow up with you to let you know, hey, it looks like you entered 646 when in reality, your bank statement says 647. All right. And once that's done, you now have the option to select the bank in question, hit next. And Washington Able provides you with a total of 4 investment options. You have a cash option where you would earn interest. If you want to learn more about any of these options, you can simply click from this screen and it takes you right to the details of each. Same thing for the cash option, which I just did, conservative option. And I always recommend taking the time you need to go over these options to allow yourself to make an informed decision. Most of the times, people prefer to start with the most conservative and the safest option, which is the cash option, which allows them to earn interest. And as stated here, there is a minimum of $5 per portfolio and must contribute to a total of $25 to begin this enrollment. For Leslie's account, I'm going to start with $1,500 in her cash option and proceed to next. And on this screen, you have the option to select a reoccurring contribution. Now, the reoccurring contribution option allows you to set it and forget about it. If you're someone who has been piling on cash in your bank account and you just learned about Able and you've finally opened an account and you don't want to put yourself in the position where you're constantly getting to that $2,000 max, this is a great option for you because you can get an idea of exactly how much accumulates in your bank account over the month and set, let's say, a $50 reoccurring contribution or a $100 reoccurring contribution on a specific date. In the case of Leslie's account, I'm going to go with the last day of the month. And I'm going to put $150 into the cash option. Now, this contribution process, as you will see, generally takes between 2 to 4 business days for the money to come out of the bank account into the Washington State Able account. Once I'm done there, I hit review. Bank account looks accurate. My investment selection looks accurate. My recurring contributions look good. And I also have the option to edit them if I need to. review, finish account setup. Another thing I didn't mention, the banner you see at the top, this is not a banner you will see when you are opening your own account. It only appears there because we're in a test account. So you're all set. Go and explore or take a look. So this is what Les's account looks like. You have a total of 3 options here at the top. Overview, which consists of the total balance. As you can see, I have my pending transaction of 1,500. And then you have your 2025 contributions so far, broken down into 1,000 standard, and able to work. Now, standard contribution limits, as we've seen historically, change every year. Last year was 18,000. This year it's 19,000. Next year it might be 20,000. We don't know that yet. But this allows you to track what your standard contributions are for that specific year. Now, if you are employed, you are allowed to make an extra 15,060 in contributions from what's earned into your Washington Able account. And that number would be populated here. So if Leslie was working, I could make an additional contribution and designate it as an able to work contribution. And you have set a goal where you have the ability to set, a goal on maybe what you're hoping to accomplish. My goal would be to put $19,000 in this account this year for Leslie. And the goal itself does not impact any other aspect of the account. It's just a way for you to set some expectations for yourself. Investments, where you can view the investments you have. Currently, there's nothing here because we are waiting for the transaction to go through. You have gifts, which I'll get into, and then sign up for a prepaid card, which I won't go into in detail, but like one of the questions I answered earlier, this is a great way to spend the funds from your Able account without having to move the money into a bank account, which it just came from. So you can request a prepaid card. Once it arrives, you can use it for qualified expenses. I see there's a question, Katie. Oh, you're typing the question. All right. We're going to go to transfers just to give you an idea of how to make contributions once your account is set up. So as you saw, I added a bank account. And again, to Katie's question earlier, if you completed this process by filling out the check option and intend to mail in a check, you will be prompted to add a bank account, which can be done under settings. And I'll get into the settings section shortly. But to make a contribution, you go to transfers, contributions. You select the bank account. If I had more than one bank account, I will see that listed here. I also have the option to add a bank account on the screen. I'm going to make it a one-time contribution since I already have a reoccurring contribution. And as I mentioned, when you want to make a contribution, you do have the option to decide if it's going into standard, which is the yearly limit of this year's limit of 19,000, or able to work, which is 15,060. Now let's assume Leslie is working and she's making just around $10,000 a year. I'm going to make this contribution. It's an able to work contribution and put an extra 1,500 towards that bucket. And in this space, you also have the option to put the money in a different investment option. Again, taking the time you need to review all the investment options available. That way you can make an informed decision for yourself. I'm going to go with the aggressive option. add. And in order to qualify for able to work contributions, I should mention, neither the beneficiary nor their employer has to be contributed to a defined contribution plan. That's 401k, 403b, or deferred compensation plan. That is, if Leslie is making contributions to a 401k or her employer is making contributions to any other kind of retirement vehicle for her, she cannot make able to work contributions. If she wanted to, she would have to ask her employer to stop making those contributions or stop making those contributions into any defined retirement plan in order to make this contribution. So I'm going to self-certify, hit review, and it gives me the ability to review every information I've entered and confirm. And you can see activity, which is the second option here, which gives you all the transactions that are pending. All right. Back to transfers, direct deposits. Our platform allows you to set up payroll direct deposits as well as employer Social Security direct deposits, as well as payroll direct deposits. At this time, it can only be one or the other. But to get that process started, you click on Get Started, and then you can select, is the money coming from the Social Security Administration, or is the money coming from your employer? I'm going to select Social Security Administration. I believe this is the most common theme. You would test what type of contribution do you want this to be? Standard. Next, hit submit. And then it generates this information, which you then go to your Social Security account and update with the routing number, account number, and when next you receive your Social Security payment, it's going to be deposited directly into your Washington State Able account. Now, if you wanted to do your employer, you would have to stop the direct deposits and switch it to payroll direct deposits. Withdrawals. Unfortunately, at this time, because I have a pending transaction, you can't see the options that would be visible. However, let's see if I can switch to another account just to give you a view. And while I'm switching, Katie, if there's any question that I can answer, happy to jump on it.
I think I'm keeping up with the Q&A for the most part, but we did have a few people ask a question about the investment options. And you may have mentioned this, Daniel, but I was typing, so I might not have heard it. But we had a few people ask, can they withdraw funds from the ABLE account if they use the investment option versus the cash option? And the general answer I provided is yes, you can. It doesn't matter which investment option you choose. You're withdrawing funds from the ABLE account, and it will take it out of the investment options. I know I had that question when I first learned about ABLE as well, because typically when people have investments, they are used to not being able to withdraw funds out of those investments until, for instance, after retirement or after a certain age. So can you speak a little bit more to that? Is that what I shared accurate?
Yeah, exactly accurate. Only thing I would add, that process takes about 2 to 4 business days for the withdrawal to be 2 to 3 business days for the withdrawal to be processed. I have received the question quite often, why can't it be instant? Because in most cases, you're withdrawing money from an investment. As you know, we have to sell what you're invested in and then move the money, making it available, which is a process that can take 2 business days at minimum, and then issued to your bank within that 24 hours and deposited. Very often you would receive the money within 2 business days. And Only other thing, the money has to be spent on what's considered qualified expenses. If not, there are those tax implications.
Awesome. And I had another great question in the Q&A that I wanted to kind of put on the live recording here. So the question is, should you max out the contribution to ABLE account, the $19,000, before you add money to the Able to Work $15,000 bucket? And I know I had an answer to that, but I wanted to let you answer that live.
So should you max out your your standard contribution before you put money into the Able to Work? I don't think it matters. If you're working, you can start with, the $19,000, and then work on the 15,060, whatever you prefer. I don't think it matters.
Okay. And how I usually respond to this, Daniel, and kind of what I share with people is kind of plan your year out. If
Yes.
you are working and you know that you could earn, up to $15,000 by the end of the year, but you also may be receiving other benefits and maybe you're receiving gift contributions, kind of plan that out. I always recommend, use the Able to Work option, because if you use up your standard option with all your Able to Work funds, you might not have enough by the end of the year for people to give you gifts or for you to deposit other benefits that you might receive. Maybe you're not receiving now, but you might receive by the end of the year. So I always kind of recommend for people to use that 15,000, right away, or, as they go along, so that they don't fill up their standard bucket before the end of the year. Once you fill up that standard bucket, you can't take any more contributions through there. You can take Able to Work in your standard bucket, but you can't take gift contributions in your Able to Work bucket. So definitely use that Able to Work as you go.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. And speaking of gifts, I think I should jump into that. Well, quickly with your withdrawals, I was able to find, looks like this account doesn't have the balance available either. For me to show you what that process looks like. But very similar to the contribution process, where it's asking where the money is coming from and where it's going to. And you're only allowed to withdraw $25,000 on the platform. Anything above that requires the withdrawal form, which can be found on the Washington State Able website on the forms. And you would just fill it out and either fax, if you have access to a fax, or mail it to us to be processed. If you can scan it into your computer, you can simply upload it through the Contact Us option as well. The Contact Us option allows you to send us information, documents through a secure, encrypted way. So you select how you'd like to be contacted, just in case we had any questions. You select the account it's intended for, other issue or question, and then you can put withdrawal form. You select the form in question, upload it, and then hit send. And it should be processed within 48 hours once it's received and in good order. And let me just go back here to the gifting page, because I know we're coming up on time, but the gifting page is one thing we definitely wanted to talk about. So we recently made updates to the gifting portal, allowing users to share with friends and family and create profiles. Now, you could share the gifting page before, but today you can create a profile if you're a gifter. So if grandma or grandpa wanted to gift money to Leslie, I could copy this link and either email it or send it to them by text, and they'll be allowed to set up a reoccurring contribution, maybe annually, for however much they want to put into her account. And it allows them to just set it and forget about it. And you as the account owner or authorized legal representative, you have the option to manage how much you receive through gifting. To Katie's point, you can cap it at $5,000, wholly, not 50, $5,000, up to that standard amount for your account. I see there's a question regarding the prepaid card. Unfortunately, I cannot go through the process of signing up for a prepaid card because we just don't have access to that through this test account. However, it's very similar to the process we just went through. It automatically ties to the email that was used to create the account, and it requires the information of the beneficiary or the authorized legal representative. And once all that information is provided, the card is requested and should be received within 7 to 10 business days. Another question we've received quite a bit is regarding death of beneficiary. And I only bring this up because it also ties into withdrawals. In the event the beneficiary is deceased, the funds in the account can be used for any outstanding medical expenses, death expenses, maybe paying for the funeral. That process requires you to fill out the death of beneficiary form, which is available on the WashingtonStateAble.com/resources and forms. Once you fill out the form, if you are the executor of the estate of the beneficiary in question, you'd be filling out this form and providing us with supporting documentation to confirm your status as the executor of the beneficiary's estate. If there is no one listed on the account, and it's just the beneficiary, and the program is not informed of the beneficiary's death, that account stays dormant until we're informed. But there's a process through which it's escheated to the state, and thereafter could be claimed directly from the state of Washington. Katie, I know we're getting close on time. Were there any other specific questions you would like me to address as we go through?
Yeah, Daniel, I'm sorry. I know I was typing, so you might have answered this. I heard you answer a question about the prepaid card. We had two questions in the chat, or in the Q&A. One is there a time limit in using the prepaid card? And I heard you speak to this, but I'm interpreting this question as the time limit being like, once you've gotten it, maybe you've used it, you've loaded it, you've used it, and maybe the balance goes down to zero, like you've used the funds that are on your prepaid card. I'm assuming that if there's a balance on the prepaid card, it's open as long as you need it to be open. But if it goes down to zero, is there a time limit before you have to load something back on it? Are you aware of that?
No, there is no time limit until you have to load something on it. Of course, if the card remains dormant for a significant period of time, and we're talking over a year and a half, then you will be contacted to see if you're still using the card before it's closed. But if you're just not using it as often, that's completely fine. There is no requirement on how often money needs to go into the card.
Okay, but the balance, or I'm sorry, the monthly fee for the card, which is currently set at $1.25 for Washington Able, will that continues to be charged even if there's no balance on the card? Is that correct?
I don't believe so, because there are no instances where a card would go in a negative.
Okay.
So if there's no balance on the card, let's follow up on that question. I want to be 100% sure before I speak on that, but I don't think TrueLink, which is the third party we use for the cards, would be charging a card with no balance on it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The other question, which I know we aren't able to do here, there was a question about walking through how to load the prepaid card from the Able account. I know because the card is kind of ordered and you have a separate account. Once you have the prepaid card, you kind of have a separate account on the TrueLink website. Is that correct? Where
That's
you manage your funds and the card and everything.
that,
So we can't show that part because that's on a separate website. But can you show the part, or maybe you already did, where you can on the Able account where you can transfer funds to the prepaid card from the Able site?
yeah. So the accounts I just showed again are test accounts and don't have any existing balance for me to show you what that withdrawal flow looks like. However, it's exactly what you would see if you're making a withdrawal to a standard bank account. So the card would be linked to the Washington State Able account as a withdrawal option. So when you click on transfers and go to withdrawals, it provides you with where to withdraw as options, and then you can select the prepaid card itself as an option for where the money would be going to, just like you're doing for a standard withdrawal. Yes.
Could you share your screen? Sorry, I think you stopped sharing, so we couldn't see what you were walking through.
Yeah, I can go back to the transfer screen. So this would be the transfer screen you would be going to, and withdrawals. But as you can see in this case, I can't make a withdrawal. However, it's very similar to what you would see here. Instead of where do you want to contribute on the withdrawal screen, you'd be seeing where do you want to withdraw to, and you would have all the options associated with the account. So all the bank accounts associated with it, as well as the prepaid card. Does that help, Katie?
Yes, thank you. Looking to see if there's any other questions in the Q&A. If there's any in there that you see that you want to respond to, I'm trying to answer a few of these before we go.
Yeah.
And Daniel, I'm happy to keep the call open for a little bit longer if you are available to kind of help wrap up some of the Q&A. Otherwise, we can try to just help support people afterwards.
Yeah, we can definitely stay on to make sure we answer all these questions. I see a question from Kendra. Can you have a monthly automated payment scheduled out of the Able account? Yes. However, this is not a functionality that's supported on the platform yet. So in order to do that, you'd have to go to Washington Able and the form section and download the withdrawal form. And it provides you with an option to set up a reoccurring withdrawal. Let's see here. Am I on the right form? Yes, it would be the withdrawal form you fill out, and you can just mail to us indicating this should be a reoccurring withdrawal from the account. Another option would be to call us at the number down here, and we can also take that request for you over the phone. What is the most money you are allowed in the Able account? So for this year, that standard is 19,000. In addition to able to work, if the individual is employed and not contributing to a defined contribution plan of 15,060. But Katie, if you don't mind confirming, what's the lifetime limit for Washington?
So yeah, I think we had another question similar to this. There is there's two limits that people want to be aware of. 500,000 is the kind of all-time limit. Once you've contributed up to 500,000, you can continue earning on that balance, but you can't continue to contribute to the account until the balance drops below 500,000. And the balance can go up to 100,000 if you are receiving SSI. Your balance can go up to 100,000 before your SSI benefits will be suspended. They will not be terminated. They'll be suspended, but they will be reenacted when your balance drops back down below 100,000. So again, that's contributions. There's kind of three limits to keep in mind. There's the annual contribution limit and able to work limits. there's the SSI limits to maintain your benefit, which is 100,000, and then there's the kind of lifetime balance limit of 500,000.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you have an ABLE account number, can you provide the email address associated with the account? I'm not sure I understand the question, but I assume it's in regards to if you call in and you have a question and you're being asked for identifying information to locate your account. And the answer to that is yes. You can provide your email address over the phone if you're the account owner or authorized individual on the account for them to locate the account. Okay, we have 2 accounts, but no email information in the file for them. Yeah, in that case, when you call, I would recommend providing your social security number. And with that information, we can locate the account and help you update the email to the account so you can access it from your personal device. Will you be giving a webinar about the Able to Work feature? Katie, maybe this one you want to take?
Yeah, I will hop online here. At the moment, we have 2 webinars that we've prepared for this year. We're making both of them available on the website, just kind of for general information and general public use. So we had the introduction to Able last week, and today we have the how-to. These will both be posted on the website. Diving a little bit deeper into Able to Work, we don't plan to do that, but we are hoping to kind of launch a more webinar series in the coming months. Probably not this year, but maybe in the year 2026 we'll have more of a webinar series. So this is a great topic. I think, Daniel, you covered Able to Work a little bit. Did you show, you might have showed this, I was paying attention to the Q&A. Did you show how a person when making a contribution could indicate that contribution as an Able to Work contribution?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, under the transfer section, as I mentioned earlier, and I can share my screen again quickly. Transfer section, contribution, one time, Able to Work, and then you also have the option to select your investment option, as I mentioned, dollar amount, certify that you are not contributing to any other retirement option, review, and confirm.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, how you use the function on the website is on the account portal is pretty straightforward. If you're looking for more information about Able to Work and how you might be able to use that with other benefits, or how you might set up a direct deposit through your employer, that's probably something we would go into a little bit more depth in another webinar. And also feel free to go back and watch the introduction to Washington Able webinar on our website, and that will share a little bit more information about Able to Work. I'll put that link in the chat. And that's available on the videos section of our website. There's one last question in the Q&A that I see there. Says, does anyone know if Social Security has training webinars like this to help people understand how to manage SSI and SSDI? I don't know for sure if the Social Security Administration has trainings like this available. I know they have a lot of information on their website, and they may have information like this available. I think what I've found is that attending trainings from local nonprofit organizations, there's probably many partners on the call here today who do offer kind of benefit navigation services. That may be a better option to go for if you aren't able to find anything on the SSA website. But I think that's all the questions in the Q&A, and this has been a really great webinar, Daniel. I really appreciate you sharing this. I know for many of us, this is probably the first time we've seen the process of how to actually open an account. And then once the account's open, what it looks like, how to navigate that. So again, our goal at the beginning of the webinar here was to help people gain a little bit more comfort and familiarity with both of those processes, opening an account and managing your account. So really, if you have, as long as you have a qualifying disability, just open an account. That's what I would suggest. Get in there, make a minimum deposit of 25. Once you can get into the account, you get familiar with how to use it, how to make contributions and withdrawals. And then the more familiar and comfortable you become with it, then the more money you can deposit and utilize some of the other features. But hopefully this has been an informative webinar. Daniel, I appreciate, as always, your support and being here today to kind of walk us through this process. And I will throw in the chat one more time my email address. If you have any follow-up questions, if anything comes up after this webinar and you would like to get information on it, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, thank you all for being here today, and good luck with your Washington Able account. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.